Welcome back to the podcast. My name is Parker Smith. I'm joined by my two brothers, Granger and Tyler. We're coming to you live from the Yee farm down here in Georgetown, Texas, and we have some really big news that just got released by Demolition Ranch, otherwise known as Matt Carriker, is officially quitting YouTube. We got this news yesterday morning, and it's pretty crazy. We have known Matt since, for how long, Granger?
Really early
2018?
2018. Yeah, 2018. Fall of 2018, maybe.
Yeah, Matt was our first, he introduced us into kind of the YouTube influencer world when we were just doing our music thing.
Earl Dibbles and the funny videos.
Country Star, Granger, Earl Dibbles, Yee stuff was rocking. And we had a post, just a random Yee apparel post on Instagram where we start seeing like, man, this has like 1,000 comments on it. What are they even talking about? It's just like a random meme. And all the comments were saying like, the Demolition is here. Matt sent us, and we were like, "Who's Demolition?
Yeah.
Who's Matt?
Demolition wants you."
Who is this guy?" And so we found out that it's Matt Carriker with this big YouTube channel. We got in touch, and he was like, "Hey man, I'm just a fan. Granger seems like a cool dude. We should do something." And so we created a video with him, and that was our introduction into that world. And then that video turned into meeting Robert Turkla, meeting Robert Oberst, meeting Nick Irving. It turned into Holler. And Matt Best. We invited all those guys to do the Holler music video.
Carriker and I kept in touch, and there's the guitars right here actually behind us that we shot on the video. He came to the farm. He came here, and we shot a video on like how many guitars would it take to stop a bullet, something. And so our kids are all the same age, so we hit it off. And then when we were going to shoot Holler, it's funny, this is in my journal right now. I'm following along with this time of year. 6 years ago, we were trying to get, I was on tour with Kane Brown. We're trying to get Kane to be a singer on the second verse of Holler.
January 2019.
So in my journal, I was like, it's frustrating because we asked Aldine. He didn't reply. And which is weird that he didn't even text back. And then we asked Kane, we're on tour with Kane. Not that he was our second choice, but we were on tour with him. And so we said, hey, could I get you on this song? And Kane was like, oh man, I'm all done with those this year because I have an album or something like that.
And I think we asked Tyler Hubbard, FGL, and he was like, I'm putting out new music, so I can't.
Yeah, that was the same answer Kane had. And so we were like, what about that Matt Carriker guy? Maybe we should get him to come. So I called Matt. I was like, hey, we're going to do this song called Holler. We're going to shoot it out here. Would you want to come and be in the video? And he's like, yeah, and I'll help you get other YouTubers if you want. I can help you get Lunkers TV, Robert Oberst.
He got us Whistling Diesel for Diesel later on.
Yeah. We got, who else did we get? Nick Irvin. We got.
You said Matt Best.
Matt Best. That came from Carriker.
You got Kentucky Rollins.
And then Lunkers brought.
Kentucky Ballistics.
Lunkers brought.
Ken Rollins.
What's his name? Kent Rollins. Kentucky Ballistics did not go.
Yeah, not for that one, yeah.
Yeah, that was later. There's Whistling Diesel and Kentucky Ballistics were all later, and so were like the Arms family and Dutch. But for Holler, then Lunkers got Lake Fork guy, and then we got, there's a lot. Outlaw. That came from Lunkers. So there was a
Chad
group.
Prather.
Chad Prather was there. And Dale Brisby.
Yeah.
So I think that's like the crew right there. So we all met and we did the video together here, and it was so much fun. Like it really, Holler set off a new era of Yee Nation, really, if you think about it, because it was the first time the Granger music had an edge to it, like the Earl music, and it quickly became the show opener, and it was the show opener all the way through the last tour. So, the long way to say the Carriker connection was something that really had an impact on this company. Shot Country Things at Matt's house with his family, that music video. I mean, there's probably other things I can't even think of, but so yeah, it's very interesting. Keep talking about what you think about this. I have my opinions, but what do you think about his announcement?
Well, I'll get into like what I think.
I saw the whole video, by the way.
His announcement, like what I think about like from a bird's eye view, like maybe why he would have done it, or like what life is like as a YouTuber that would lead somebody to quit what everyone else would view as like the dream life, because everyone's like guys at their desks all day dream of shooting YouTube videos. But I wanted to like just right before that, just like kind of honor Matt in that, like, just like what you guys said, like our YouTube channel that I've been running, Yee Life, would not exist if it weren't for Matt. I don't think for Matt and Robert Turkla, both of those guys, Lunkers TV. Because
you know what else? I'm sorry. Let me just like slight insert there. I don't mean to interrupt. The Smiths literally exist. I think that was Lunkers.
Yeah.
It was like, you need to start a family vlog. So the Smiths wouldn't exist either. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. And that would not have happened if Matt had not reached out to you in 2019 to do how many guitars would a 50 cal go through, that original video. So if you go on YouTube and you type in like Demolition Ranch, how many guitars would a 50 cal go through? That was the original video that Demo Matt reached out to Granger to come here to the farm to film. And it really opened up our eyes of what it would be like to run a brand that's not just completely dependent on music almost. And so in many ways it set us up for being the sustained company that we are today, with Granger not touring full time. It was like, oh, like we can create content and do other stuff. And like, we looked at like some of the other creators that were out there and we're like, oh, we have all the knowledge. They're just smart and they're actually doing it. And like, we're over here just overthinking it. So,
and let me say too, that I want to maintain a little credit with us, and especially Tyler, because I watched that Carriker video and he was like, man, we were doing YouTube at the very beginning in 2007. And I thought, well, we definitely were. We were blowing up YouTube with the stupidest stuff.
That's true.
There was no Instagram and Twitter.
There
and all
was
that
no,
to do
yeah,
that,
it was
so
like MySpace.
It all went to YouTube.
We were posting video of the week. So that's what we called it. Video of the week. We were trying to post one video every week, and it had nothing to do with music. So we were content creators. Can you believe that's 20 years ago?
Yeah.
We've been
crazy.
content creators for 20 years.
Wow.
On YouTube.
Yeah, to wrap that up a little bit, that thought, how cool is it that like what one relationship can do, believing in the sovereignty of God and like but like us, one relationship, how that can just, from a wife to a business, associate, like someone like Matt or friend, everything.
I remember, it was like 6 months after Holler, or a few months after Holler, I guess, we lost Riv. And all those guys came to the funeral.
I'll never forget that. Turned around and I saw Matt Best just by himself. Saw Outlaw. All of them came up. Tyler Hubbard was there with Brian Kelly.
They all had like nice boots on and combed hair,
Yeah.
Yeah, that was something.
Do you keep up with any of those original guys that you mentioned from the Holler video?
I still talk to Turkla more than any, I would imagine. Occasionally Carriker, but it's actually kind of reminding me that I need to reach out to a lot of those guys and just keep up with them. Anytime I see any of them, like Robert Oberst, comes to Yee Day, it's like no time has passed. Same with Dale Brisby, but I need it. Yeah, I need to be better about that.
Yeah, you and Matt were really just cut from the same cloth. It seemed like from the very beginning, because you go back, you guys both went to Texas A&M. You're both around the same age.
I bench press more.
Yeah, true. He bench presses a lot, but you bench press significantly more. And I just
both
remember,
have the same. They both have sons named Lincoln.
We both have Lincolns that are
Yeah.
the same age boy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I forgot about that.
they'd be best friends if y'all lived in the same town.
He asked, Lincoln sometimes occasionally asks about him.
Yeah, that's cool. But and then both just have like silly goose sense of humor of just like filming silly stuff. Like that's basically how Earl Dibbles Jr. got started, was just from you guys just filming dumb stuff. And you can go back and see old videos from the GS Band YouTube channel of just silly stuff, which just reminds me a lot of Matt. You guys just don't take life too seriously.
So let's get into the reasons. Is he really quitting? Is he going to come back in 6 months? Say, just kidding.
It is a very common YouTube trick to say I'm quitting YouTube.
It is, and he's one of the smartest and most successful. So this could be a huge media thing.
It
for
could
him.
be that he's going to start a new channel or
right.
something.
His,
you know-
his wife could have said, "Hey, I'm done." Like there could be truth to like, let's spend more family time. There's a lot of
I'm
different.
not buying that
I'm not either.
because it's like,
The family thing is
And-
like, let me say this real quick. Keep that thought. I was telling Parker this morning, and I was like, dude, how quickly do we forget what our dad and granddads did? They're gone every single day, 9 to 5. That's what that generation did.
yeah,
And so they were always working. This day and age, and look, I don't know Matt's, I know he's got his hand in a lot of different things, but he's a YouTuber. He's home. He's at home every day, 7 days a week. He can probably pack his kids lunch, take them to school, film a video, pick them up from school, be there for dinner. Like I'm arguing that our dad and parents in that generation were gone way more.
yeah.
So
I'm not, yeah, and I'm not saying that Matt is being disingenuous or anything, but I'm arguing that if he is serious about what he's saying about family time, then I would tell him, I would encourage him that I think you're underestimating. You're trying to separate your job from who you are and who your genetic makeup of a go-getter is, because you cannot disconnect those two things. I am the example. Like, look at me. I literally left touring, a grueling touring schedule, on the road, flying all the time, and what did I do? I just replaced it with other jobs that I have now. So I don't think I'm any less busy than I've ever been in my life. I'm not complaining. I didn't leave touring so that I would have more time with my family. That's a misconception. People are like, man, I get it. Touring takes so much time. You're leaving because you want to spend more time with your family. Sometimes I correct them. Sometimes I don't, depending on how long I want the conversation to go. But usually I'm thinking, I didn't leave touring so I'd have more time for my family.
yeah, I'm trying to think. Like in the video, he did say, "I don't know what I'm going to do," which to that point, because he's, like I said, he's got bunker branding. He does real estate stuff. Like he's got a lot of other things none of us know about. So he's going to stay busy.
Yeah.
It's not like
He
he's
just
going
who
hosted
he
a
is.
massive event last month.
yeah. It's not like
because of
he's
who
going to
he
just
is.
sit at home and be like, "This is retired life, huh?
No.
I'm just with my kids." That's not what.
Not that there's anything wrong with that, but that's not him. That's not Matt.
But what I'm saying
He's
is,
going to do something else. He's going to get passionate about it, and then he's going to get busy.
but he may not film it. He might film less.
And that's okay. It's okay to be passionate and to be busy. It's okay. That's okay.
Yeah, I would argue that it kills a man.
It kills a man to not have that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brian just texted me and said, what if he said he's done, he's quitting YouTube, but that doesn't mean he's done with content.
Because he got hired for
AKA
Netflix or
He's
something.
doing a TV show like Duck Dynasty or something.
Oh, that's interesting. Like
Yeah,
that's
well,
in his
they-
contract.
Prime.
Yeah, they took on
You can do this,
Mr.
but-
Beast. Netflix took on Mr. Beast. Good one, Brian. I think that's a good call. But yeah,
That would be definitely something Matt would do.
yeah.
I'm quitting YouTube.
Yeah, he's gonna have a huge announcement video.
So technically, I am quitting YouTube.
I have a few contracts left to fulfill, wrap up some loose ends, and then boom, he's gonna hit us with that TV show or something.
Yeah, because the reality is, if he really wanted to do this, he wouldn't just say, I'm quitting YouTube, I can't do any videos. He would just be like, I'm going to do less.
Yeah.
I'm going to do I'm going to do it when I feel like it.
That's what
In
Parker
his
said,
defense,
yeah.
he said, I have to either go, my personality is I'm either all in or I'm all out. And so it sounds like the way he described it is that his personality is like, I can't just do a video a month. Like if I'm going to do it, I have to be the best and I have to be on top. Which just sounds like something that he's passionate about as being number one, because he kept mentioning that in his goodbye video.
Yeah.
So that's an easy way to say I'm just done. And so that's why I'm not number one anymore, because I'm just done. Instead of just like having fun with it. I don't know. Just my thought. Yeah, I kind of agree with you guys because then he said I may just go be a vet or something. And I'm like, well, in my mind, I mean, I don't know anything about the situation, but in my mind, I'm like, being a vet would take way more of your time.
Oh, yeah, that's the same thing I thought.
So if the reason is that you want to be with your kids before they graduate, what better career than YouTube? Otherwise, you're just retiring and you're just at home all day, which maybe he does want to be a stay-at-home dad. But Matt does not.
He doesn't.
Matt does not strike me as a stay-at-home dad, as a guy who owns like 6 YouTube channels.
That would last
and is
5
fixing
months.
up cars and is building resorts and is building guns and traveling the world, you know. So
Not buying it.
And
Any
Lunker
of it.
Branding, he's got huge businesses.
yeah.
Lunkers is a different story. Turkla's a different story. Like there's he's a war vet. Matt's an animal vet. Turkla's a war vet. And there's different things going on upstairs with both of those guys.
Thanks for your service,
But
Demo Matt.
Turkla is definitely he is phasing out as well for different reasons. I don't know if he's revealed that, so I don't want to get into his story, but yeah, I think bottom line is we're thankful for so many. The Nick Irving 1,000-yard shot I did was our first viral video on Yee Life, which then after we lost Riv, I lost the desire to continue Yee Life, and you brought it back. So once again, that's just a seed that was planted a long time ago.
So you bring up a good point though about Robert Turkla, like just considering different options now at this point in his life. And when I was watching Matt's goodbye video, it kind of got me thinking about like, okay, what is at the end of this? What's at the end of this road? You know, if you accomplish all the things you want to accomplish, okay, you got the biggest YouTube channel, you got like you got the merch brand, you got the mansion, you got everything. Okay, like it's kind of inherent in a man to be like, okay, well, what's next? You know? And I was talking to Granger about it, and I was like, it was almost kind of depressing in that it just makes you think about like, what's the point of any of this? And then Granger and I were talking about, or Granger had mentioned Ecclesiastes, a book in the Bible. And why don't you just tell me the connection that you had made with that?
Actually, Tyler that's his favorite book in the Bible, so I'm going to pass that to you.
Proverbs.
Oh, it's Proverbs.
I love Ecclesiastes. I love Psalms.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, chasing after the wind. We're actually in it in our local church right now. I mean, I'm talking to you guys. That's what we're studying right now. But to answer your question, Parker, there is no end. It's always more and more. And thankfully, the Lord has an answer for any question that we have in the Bible. And he gives the example of Solomon, the teacher who is the author of Ecclesiastes, who had everything, who had all the women, who had all the riches, who had all the wealth. And he's, you know, as humans, we don't learn from past generations, past mistakes of people telling us, hey, I've had all this. This is what happens. And ultimately, it's chasing after the wind.
Yeah.
And it's meaningless, is what the teacher says.
Yeah.
So there's nothing wrong with it, but if somebody's searching for what's next, like in country music, what's next? Well, there's always something next. There's always another number one song. There's always another tour. There's always a bigger tour. and you get stuck in a prison with YouTube. There's always more subscribers. There's always more money in businesses. There's always more products to sell. There's always more revenue. So, man, what a hard, depressing life to get into if that's what you're chasing.
And ultimately, I think that his point is that you can accumulate all that stuff, and if you could take it with you, that would be great. Let's like accumulate as much money as possible and power, like the old pharaohs in Egypt, and then bury it with us, and then we'll take it to the afterlife. You know, but in Ecclesiastes, he's like, why is it meaningless? Because when you die, you cannot take it with you into the grave. Everything you've accumulated goes to your predecessor, goes to somebody else, and you have no control over what they do with it, where they could just blow it all with foolishness. And so ultimately, the rich man, the poor man, the wise man, and the fool all go to the same place. Elon Musk and the beggar down the street will both wind up 6 feet under on equal playing
two
ground.
places you could go, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
I mean, their mortal bodies will both end up in the same place,
Yeah.
rotting in the dirt,
Yeah.
getting eaten by worms. And so then it's like, okay, so we have to focus on the eternal.
Seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added to you. So to your point, if people are lost, it's like, don't seek anything but God first, and all these things will be added to you.
Could I add one thing to that? Because I'm texting a guy right now who's a singer-songwriter, and sometimes I'll reply to like DMs, and this particular guy is asking what it means to seek first the kingdom, and so we just kind of started getting into the conversation, but he's like, I know that, because I straight up told him, I said, when I went to your page, it seems to me that baseball's number one to you, like you seek first baseball. He's like, no, man, that might be the perception, but I seek first God. And when I wake up in the morning, at the end of the day, I know it's God's my number one. And so I said, well, let me push you on that a little bit, because you can't just say that. Anytime you say you love something, it always is followed by an action or accompanied by an action that is evidence of your claim that you just made. And so if you seek first, if you say God is first in my life and I seek him, I seek first the kingdom, you would think that when someone makes that claim, outsiders would be able to see it. Not that you're trying to put off a perception or trying to prove anything, but it's just practically, if I say this when I go speak, I say this all the time. If I said I'm a deer hunter and I put deer hunting first, I seek first deer hunting, I love it so much, you would definitely expect my house to have some shoulder mount bucks, my closet to have some camo, my gun safe is loaded up, I've got venison in the freezer, and I've got another trip coming up, I can't wait to go. You expect that. And if I didn't have any of that stuff, you would say, I don't think deer hunting's first for you. I think you just say that.
Yeah, let me add to that. And I told you this on the phone the other day, that John Piper quote that says the gospel does not offer to the sinner what the sinner wants naturally. And I was like, mind blown. I was like, because a lot of pressure, so kind of to that point, it's like we're all about self. Every single human, we're all wretched sinners. We want self. We want baseball. We want to do these things. So I think that there's an activeness to that of intentionality of what does seek God first mean? Well, first of all, it means, praying for God to change your heart, your desires, admitting that you're a sinner and you don't naturally want to, even though that's hard to tell God, hey, I naturally don't really want to follow you or do the things you say. But it's being vulnerable and saying change that for me. And then that's actively, what do you do first thing in the morning? Do you scroll social media, or do you jump in your Bible and read one chapter?
I think that's important to say, Tyler, because otherwise you're just like giving people to-do lists.
Yeah,
and you're just like,
legalism.
You're just like, well, you just like baseball more, so you just need to read your Bible for at least 20 minutes a day, and then you need to be praying for this time, and you need to start giving money to your church, and then you need to start, rather than addressing the heart, which all those things are true.
I didn't say anything about you need to do anything. I was just trying to reveal to him. I was trying to open up the wound a little bit to see the flaw.
Yeah, for sure.
The self-awareness.
But to address the heart and that you need to be born again, like John 3 style, I think is important, Tyler. And I think you said we're all wretched sinners, like it's just matter of fact, when I don't think most people listening to this podcast would consider themselves, quote unquote, a wretched sinner. Everybody's a good person. What are you talking about? I'm a wretched sinner.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so it's not until you see yourself getting highlighted, like Wesley Huff on Joe Rogan's podcast the other day. Rogan's like, and just like Tyler and I had some guys at the farm here the other day talking about this. Jesus had great teachings. I think that if Christianity teaches good things and that you should follow his example, and like there's no harm that Christianity could do, so like go follow that if you want. And it's like the primary message of Christianity, I was telling Tyler after they left, is not to do good things and be a better person. That is part of it, but it's initially, Jesus condemns moralism or doing good for its own sake to attain something by your own. The whole purpose of the law, the 10 Commandments, our conscience, is to show us that we can't be good. We can't live the perfect life. We can't follow all these rules because we don't naturally want to. So, and then you see your need of a savior. Then you see your need of a new heart. Like you said, the natural sinful heart doesn't want to follow God. And then when you realize that, and then you realize you deserve hell, then you're ready for his mercy. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Do you have anything to add to that?
Was I saying about anything about good works?
You were just talking about we were just talking about idols, and then you were talking about addressing the heart in the John Piper quote of like the sinner doesn't naturally want what God can offer. And so
we need new wants. That's what we need. We need to be forgiven, and after we are forgiven, after we are loved, after we have a new heart, we now have new desires and new wants and new results from those.
And by the way, that's a daily thing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not like a prayer. Hey, Lord, give me new desires and wants, and then he gives it, like, to me at least, it's like a daily thing, because every day I wake up, I'm like, oh, I'm back to my sin and ways. Please, Lord, forgive me. Change my heart. Give me, thank you for your new mercies every day. It's a constant.
It's like cedars growing at the ranch.
Yeah. Sin just keeps on growing.
You go cut them and they just keep coming back.
What Puritan used to describe it as, sin is like an outer shell that grows over top of you overnight. And every single morning, you have to peel back through prayer the sin that grows over you every night. John Piper always talks about that. He always talks in like a matter of violence with sticking it with the sword. Every morning, you have to stick it with the sword and realize the enemy is prowling like a lion, wanting to devour you. Every morning, he's looking. He's outside your bedroom window, waiting to devour you.
Put on
that's
the full armor of God, brother.
You have to follow the shepherd.
Ephesians. Breastplate of righteousness. Sword belt.
Otherwise, you will end up on the back of a tour bus in Boise with really bad situations. Yeah.
So our goal kind of moving forward is to separate this podcast into kind of 3 tiers: faith, freedom, and the outdoors, which are the 3 pillars of our company. So kind of wanted to share our candid thoughts on Demolition Ranch's announcement, tied that to faith on a little bit of Ecclesiastes and kind of the point and meaning of life, accumulating possessions. We spend the majority of the time on that. Gonna kind of briefly touch on freedom in the outdoors. In the freedom world, I know RFK Jr. is under trials right now.
Is that the right word? That's not the right word, right?
Do you know?
Doesn't sound like it's
I forget what it's
Isn't
called.
he just essentially pleading his case on Healthy America?
It's a confirmation hearing. Yeah, he has to get grilled by the senators. It's always wild to see every 4 years. I kind of forget that happens, but
Can you imagine, like, McDonald's used to use beef tallow as their fat to fry it in, which is incredibly healthy, the healthiest fat, animal fat you could use. But now it's all seed oils. I mean, I would have to imagine that when McDonald's started in the 70s, I have no idea. It was actually like cool, like good grass-fed burger and some beef tallow like potato fries.
yeah, it's probably good food.
And now it's changed to what it is, 50 ingredients per.
He's doing good. RFK, I'd see every once in a while, see something come up. And he's doing good.
Sorry, go ahead.
Who's the guy right before him? Hegseth on
It
the
was a girl, I thought.
Secretary of Defense.
Pete Hegseth is the new Secretary of Defense.
That was interesting to watch, and he's already been put to work today as we're recording this video with that Black Hawk crash. He released a statement from the Secretary of Defense Department, and it was solid. It was like a solid response. So,
A little info on it right here. He's going through confirmation hearings to become the Secretary of Health and Human Services under Trump.
Right.
The left is furious about it because of his past anti-vaccine stance and criticism of the government health policies. Over 17,000 doctors are trying to block him, saying he spreads misinformation. Even his own cousin, Caroline Kennedy, called him a predator. RFK has been a thorn in the side of Big Pharma and the medical establishment. The Senate is grilling him on vaccines, abortion, and ethics. If confirmed, he'll be in charge of U.S. health policy, shaking up the system and likely infuriating the D.C. swamp.
On a side note, in case anyone doesn't know where we are right now, we're in the farm. We're at the Yee farm. We're in our shipping warehouse. So, like, where camera's looking the other way, we're looking out towards the shipping department. And so I need to do something if you guys are okay with it real quick.
Yeah.
Hey, Maddie!
Oh, she's not there.
Is anybody down there? No. Before I go, can you I need something from the Faith Launch in 2X for an NFL player.
He looks a lot bigger than 2X.
I just texted him. He said 2X. And because I'm going
bigger in a good way. He's super lean.
Heath Evans. Yeah, I'm going to go to do a podcast with him right after this, and I'm literally flying out the door after we finish this to go to him. So I wanted to make sure I had it.
Slight off-road. What do you call it? I don't know. Getting off topic really quick. You just said that you're on a podcast with him, and it reminded me of your podcast with New World Old Soul. And I was like, you said the other day that you were going to be on it, and I was like, oh, cool. And then I was like scrolling YouTube, and I like saw the title and thumbnail. I'm like, I forget that like that's just always the main thing that y'all are going to talk about. It was like Granger Smith suicidal with substance abuse or something, and I'm just like, dang.
Yeah, I mean, there was no like substance abuse. That's like pushing it, That's always pushing it to me to say that. And I actually thought about this yesterday. And I was in the shower. That's when I do a lot of my thinking. And there was that one, and I love them, whatever. And it's not about that. And the other guy, Alan Jackson, with an EL or an EN, he posted the same thing. It's like, Granger, the truth of tragedy, and I started wondering. I was in the shower. I was like, when will they stop using that as the clickbait for me?
That's what I was thinking. Same with Allie Beth Stuckey.
Like, surely there's coming a time when that won't be the main thing they want to talk about and take a picture of and like make it a thing. Because I'm never going to repost that because my followers they've been seeing this for 6 years. I'm not going to say, hey, go listen to my story again. We're off topic a little bit, but yeah.
It was just something interesting that I was thinking about. And I was like, we're with you every day. And like, you're very joyful, at peace, hardworking, lots of different stuff going on. obviously that was a huge moment in your life, losing Riv that shaped so much. But then it's like every time you're going to be on a podcast, I'm like excited to see how it goes. It's just like,
well, when we're on different chapters. Granger's 6 years ago, like you said, he's in a different chapter of when that happened. But those people are still he's a guest the first time, still meeting new people, and they're hitting their people that may or may not have ever heard of what happened with Granger and his faith journey through that.
yeah,
It's true.
So it's all necessity to do that. And then we get more awareness of Granger. They see where he is now. They buy the book. To answer your question, it's just the second visit. If you ever do return visits and are a guest again, obviously that was done. And then they talk about whatever's going on now.
Yeah, that's right. That's all right.
And that's always going to be a part of your story.
I have no problem with them posting that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm like you, Parker. I'm like, again?
yeah.
And I know you're right, Tyler.
Your whole life.
Yes,
Your whole
again.
life.
Yes, that's the deal.
You'll be probably doing an interview when you're 80, Lord willing.
Yeah.
Because you have
that year.
Because you have experienced a tragedy that the average human being can't comprehend. And so naturally human beings are appalled and gravitate towards how is this guy doing? Because nobody can ever imagine it. And so you, like you said on the podcast, have an authority to speak about it in grief that no one else does. For whatever reason, the Lord has given you this burden, trial, and gift.
And what does the Lord say about trials? To do. Rejoice.
You think Neil Armstrong was like, man, when are they going to stop talking about the moon landing?
Yeah. Talk about what I've been up to. I got a garden I just started in the back.
Man, I'm like really good at painting, man. I got some good paintings.
When somebody else goes to the moon. When are they going to stop talking about Tom Brady when somebody surpasses his 7 Super Bowl MVPs or whatever?
By the way, so Heath's coming today, and I told Lincoln, I said, I got Heath Evans, my buddy. He's like, yes, sir. And I was like, he's like Super Bowl winner. It's like, who did you play for at the Patriots? And he goes, Daddy, you think he has Tom Brady's cell phone number? I was like, really? That's what you think of?
You should ask him on the podcast.
I'm going to tell him that.
Say, this is what my son
I'm going to
asked.
tell him. I'll say, let's FaceTime him real quick.
That'll be a great episode. Heath has such an outgoing personality.
Did you see Parker when he was on NFL Network or whatever, like in his full suit, they were like, we brought a bench in. How many can you do? And he did like 40 reps of
45.
45 of 225.
Wow.
In his suit with tie. On air.
Hey, y'all should come over. One of y'all should.
I think I'm shooting bubble wrap. All right. We touched on freedom a little bit. We'll finish it off with the outdoors. We are planning possibly a hog hunt for our spring 2025 shoot.
So if anybody knows where we can get on some hogs,
let me text
comment
Preston
below.
while we're on this. I'm going to text.
We were actually just on a call yesterday to try to find a location for this hunt because we talked about doing a turkey hunt, but we were like, I don't know if this whole launch would be encapsulated by like a turkey hunt, and Yee is not necessarily like a ton of really functional head-to-toe hunting gear, at least for a spring launch. We do have an incredibly awesome camo vest that's releasing that I'm really excited about. But other than that, there's not a lot of functional hunting stuff. The extent of my experience hog hunting was getting like a bag of forks and knives with tannerite and baiting hogs at Connor's place. That's what people would do to try to just kill as many hogs as possible.
Forks and knives?
Yeah. And then you just send like shrapnel out. We actually didn't see any. So we didn't do it, but did we? I don't think we did. But have you guys ever gone on like a hog hunt?
Yeah, me and Granger went.
For those who don't know, they're a
Remember that?
invasive species in Texas that is.
No, East Texas. Remember we were doing a show like 10 or 15 years ago and somebody took us out with dogs?
I do remember that.
They cut off can I say this on this podcast? They cut off the testicles in Texas in some places, which in turn, correct me if I'm wrong, but their testosterone, like they're not attracted to reproduce anymore. And so all that energy goes into eating and just getting huge.
Yeah, my buddy does that. They just castrate them. They catch them, cut their balls off, and then they just get a gigantic after that.
Yeah, like 400
really
plus
weird.
pounds.
We don't do that. We just try to get rid of them.
Yeah.
From my experience.
Those dogs are
dogs
crazy,
are wild,
bro.
yeah. Crazy dogs, all scarred up. Yeah, so maybe we'll do that for the spring launch. We've been talking about that. Show some good footage from that.
It's a really bad problem in Texas, though.
Destroys farmland.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it destroys land.
Destroys land, fences, cattle panels, feeders,
They kill fawns.
fawns, tanks.
Yeah, they are a terrible, terrible creature.
And they're aggressive to humans, man. I wouldn't want mom walking out there with a 300-pound boar.
Y'all seen Old Yeller?
Yeah.
Yeah, they attacked our elderly neighbor, on Mom's ranch when she was with the grandkids, but they were able to get inside in time.
When?
Pretty
I
scary.
didn't know that story.
It wasn't recent. It's probably five or 6 years ago.
Who, Mimi?
Yeah, Mimi Wright and the grandkids.
Good grief.
What? What were they doing? Walking?
Yeah, they were just outside, like on their land, like I don't know, 50 yards from the house or something, and there was like a herd of them that like came at them, and they had to run in, like really fast.
How did they outrun those hogs, man? Those suckers are fast.
They just had enough lead, I think, and they could hear them far off.
Man, that is terrifying. You walk all the time at the ranch. Walk all.
I was there this weekend, and I was thinking about that.
Like you should always have a gun, I guess, right?
I was thinking that for the first time, and it wasn't necessarily for hogs. It was for some reason I was thinking mountain lion. And you know how when people, like, you hear stories about that, they feel like they're being watched? I kind of felt that. And I was like looking behind me for the first time, and I walk out there all the time.
I think big cats are my greatest fear.
And I was like,
Yeah.
well, there's nothing I would do. I can't climb the fence. I can't climb a tree because they're better than all that and faster than me.
Because big cats will watch you all day. So mom saw one 10, 15 years ago,
Yeah.
took a picture, and it's huge. I mean, this was a 200-pound cat, right? I mean, it was big. It was
I just remember the picture. Yeah. I don't
that
remember.
picture. It was a true lion.
You should just carry, Tyler. Do you have a holster?
Dad used to carry a 380. That's easy. But I don't know if a 380 would do much to a mountain
No,
lion.
You'd have to just keep firing.
I can't stand that 382. It's hard to aim. I'd get a Glock,
Yeah.
get your Glock 19 or
Even
your
the Glock,
43.
man, even that 43 with that 9mm, you're gonna have to just fire
You know-
over, especially if it's a hog.
You know what I would want? So we can talk offline, but I would want to get like I'm sure there's something like a harness where it's like right here on my chest when I'm walking, so it's easy access and it's not like in the way of like headphones or something or phone. Like when I'm just easy, like right there, just in case.
I've been
I'm
learning
sure
more
there's
about
something there.
what they do in bear country, and they'll get a 10 mil, which is one step higher than a 9 mil. And so people usually are in between a 44 Magnum or a 10 millimeter pistol. The 44 Magnum has more punch, but you can shoot the 10 mil faster and it holds more rounds. And they'll do a chest harness a lot of times.
Yeah, that's a chest harness. So should I get a 10 mil?
I think a 9 holding 15 rounds is plenty. But
Comment
but
below if you guys recommend anything.
State of Texas, I think Parker's right. 9 would probably do, but he's talking about bears.
Yeah,
Well,
but if you're in bear
a
country,
9's cool for mountain lion because that's the biggest that would be down in Texas.
I would think, yeah.
Yeah, but those hogs, I mean, you would have to
Dude,
empty
those-
the,
10 mil would be better for hogs, but even that, yeah.
you'd
probably
have
not
to
gonna
empty
do
the
anything.
whole clip.
Hogs are tough, man.
Our buddy Chad in Montana keeps bear mace on his left hip, and then he has a 10 millimeter on his right hip. But then I know a lot of guys who do the chest harness with a 10 mil or a 44 Magnum.
Yeah, I'm gonna go look on Amazon for chest harness after this.
Go see our buddies at Guns Plus for a 10mm.
Yeah.
Do they
I need to buy
they make
a,
Glock in a 10mm?
What?
Do they make a Glock in a 10mm?
What do y'all have?
I think it's a Smith & Wesson.
I have a 17
10
Glock,
millimeter.
Glock 17 and a 43 and a 42.
Don't say that. You're not supposed to say what you have. Lost them all in a boating accident, didn't you?
That's what I allegedly
Lost.
had lost.
All right. Thank you guys for listening. We'll see you next week on the podcast.
Yay!